All right, starting to look a little more professional in here. The music dialed in a bit better. All right, what's up, stream? Hello, YouTube. Back again. So my normal schedule for being live is Tuesdays and Sundays. I don't stay live for a whole long time. I generally am around for about an hour. Sometimes a little bit longer, sometimes a little bit less, depending on what's going on. I do keep pretty busy in my personal life. I'm a student. I'm in school full time, and I do this as a hobby. Now, when you come to the stream, something you can expect is that I will be sharing something about what I know with the game in order to make it easier for you. So you're always welcome to come by, get my perspective. If you want to chat, you want to talk about something you're struggling with in the game, something you're trying to learn, or maybe you're just lost and you don't know where to start, I would be your guy. So feel free, come hop in. Generally keep a pretty good eye on the chat. And today I'm going to continue something that I am working on for a little bit. I'm going to be doing scav runs with a bit of commentary as I go. I'm going to talk about my process. I'm going to talk about some tips, some tricks, some ways that you can make Tarkov easier. Hey, what's up, Cal? Back again. You found me. How you doing, dude? You guys getting snow up there? It's just been cold and windy down here. What's up? So I'm gonna hop into the raid a little quicker than I did last time. Last time I did sort of an intro style session where I talked about the 4 priorities that I think about whenever I'm considering what loot to take in a raid. And I'll talk about that as I go, but I'm not going to do the in-depth thing that I did the other day. So I'm just going to quickly sell off some of these shotgun rounds, try and make some use out of my empty metal fuel containers. There's a ton of stuff in the hideout in the different areas that you can craft, by the way. If you're not really like up to date on that kind of thing or some of the changes, it's worth going through. And like, this isn't hideout specifically, but I'm just more thinking about changes. So the other day I just went through and I looked at the barter items, and there's some things that kind of stand out to me. So what level is this? I think it might be level 3. It is, yeah. So this is by far the best. So once you get proper level 3, the best value like noob gun that you can get. Everything in here is cheap. So weapon parts are cheap. Gunpowder, the blue powder is cheap. You can craft that in the hideout. I think pretty early on too in the workbench. And so you trade it for this gun. The RPK is a great, like, it's just a great 5.45 shooter, and it's not the strongest round in the game, but it's a great budget gun. And BT rounds are cheap, and they're great for a budget run. So you can take this gun, and I ripped this magazine off, this thing right here, and you can sell it to mechanic right away for 20k. Like, these weapon parts, if you're buying them off the fleet, cost around 30k, but you can craft those too in the workbench. And these you can craft for 5,600 rubles. The gun is so cheap, and you don't even need to really mod it all that much. What I would do on the budget, if you have a few traders unlocked, is I go to skier here, level 2. I always get the RK4 grip, so 2 recoil, 4 ergo. There's better ones once you get a higher level up here. So we can get an RK0. Actually, no, that's worse. That's funny. I'm still getting used to some of that. So you could go with an RK1, which is an expensive version, or you could go with this, which RK5 is cheaper than the RK0. This is kind of weird, right? So this one on the left is -2 + 3. This one on the right is -2 + 5. The one that's -2 + 5 is cheaper. I don't know if there's like some differences in the stats. I haven't actually tried putting them on the weapon. But anyways, that's all you really need to put on an RPK. Grab a bunch of BT rounds off the flea market, which are like insanely cheap right now. Wonder if I'll get it just by typing in BT. I didn't think so. So 5.45. BT, where are you? Look at this. 180 rubles a shot. 250, like that's nuts. That's super cheap for a reasonably effective ammo, and you can just, you know, blast people all day long. It's great practice ammo. Yo, what's up, Caleb? You helped me on Reddit last night. Glad to finally catch you streaming. Oh, cheers, dude. Thanks for stopping in and saying hey. How's Tarkov going for you? I started doing like replying to Reddit posts. I guess it might have been about a year ago, where I was like, you know, adamantly focusing on time to reply to people that have questions that go there. And there's two things that like come out of that process for me. Is one, like, I've met some really neat people, so it's cool to meet you. Thanks for stopping in. And the other is I don't I don't know how like so much knowledge is out there and people don't know how to find it. Maybe you could comment on that. Is it just that, like, you don't know where to start? You don't know what to like how with all of the information is out there? Because that's what I did when I got back into Tarkov. I just started Googling and YouTubing, looking up guides, and you know, there's a lot of junk out there. That's maybe part of the problem. But I just started looking up stuff, and then I figured out, okay, what do I need to learn? And I just found guides. I learned that, and it took, you know, I made my process quite methodical. But that's also the type of learner that I am, so maybe that helps too. But yeah, man, the Reddit thing is pretty cool. I've met some really nice people there. Have had to tone myself back whenever it comes to replying to people that are jerks on the internet. There's a few of those, and I think I need to just ignore them. It doesn't do me any good to either like call people out there, because people they don't care. Who am I, some random internet stranger? I'd rather take my time and reply to somebody that actually needs some support. So it's cool that you came by and said hello while I was live. I'm usually here 6 o'clock Pacific, Tuesdays and Sundays. That's my regular go-to. I'm doing good, Cal. I'm still getting settled in with school, so I'm in my third week now, and I'm starting to feel like I'm caught up. I'm in a good spot. The first week and a little bit was a little like there was a lot, right? And I was doing 5 classes, and I dropped down to 4, which is still full-time and still lots, but this is way more manageable. I did one of my tests early today, which is sweet. That was a good feeling, and I had actually some good feedback to send into my instructor, because there's a lot of tests that you do now that are self-grading. So I did my thing. This is all like on technologies. So I did my test, and you're allowed to resubmit the work if after you get your feedback. So if you can do it properly, like, they're not trying to like just like you get one shot at this and that's it. It's all applied learning. So you get your feedback, you can go and spend time learning on what you want to do. And this is like, for my big exam, I won't get to redo that, but for these other like sort of smaller tests, they're worth, I think, around 10% of my final grade, but cumulatively. And so yeah, I went back and I looked at it and I was like, no, like, what I'm doing here is right. And I like troubleshooted the whole thing, and basically, long story short, it's like the syntax that I was entering in. So like the commands, I was taught that I could do it this way or that way, and you can, because you get the same answer, but the program that's self-marking only allows you to use one of the ways when it should allow both. So he's like, oh crap, because he's been teaching both of the ways. He's like, you can do it any way you want, as long as you're getting the right answer. So anyway, I know that's kind of like vague and convoluted, but I don't know how to be more specific without boring the hell out of everybody. Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm really good. Okay, so scav runs. The whole purpose of these scav runs that I'm doing live on stream is, 1, this is a playground for me to go over some of the way that I want to talk about these and future video content. And then 2, it gives me a way to put content out that is going to be static, something that's going to stay online. People can come in, check in, and learn something. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through my whole process, the things that I think about, right from the nuts and bolts of it. So what you just saw me do is I ran away from where I started. I got some cover, 1, because I just wanted to like have a moment to talk and like center myself. And then 2, what I do is I go in and have a look at my inventory. I'm actually going to pause the music too. Yo, what's up, Gat Cat? How you doing? Was in more of a rut, not winning fights early on. Figured out some decent ways to farm out the quests and get past level 10 and get better weapons. That's sweet, Caleb. Good job, dude. Like, it's so hard that the first, like, 10 levels, the first grind of the game, it gets infinitely easier. And there's still so much to learn. Dude, I'm still learning, and I've played the game for 2 years now. It's crazy. It's awesome. I'm glad that you've gotten past that spot so you can get into the flea market and all that other thing. I don't know if you caught my tip earlier, but there's a couple of like cheap early on guns that kind of stand out to me, and one of them is the RPK with BT rounds. So good as a budget weapon. Okay, so I found some cover, and usually why I take cover at the beginning is I wanna collect my character's inventory. I want to see what's going on. I want to hotkey anything that I can, and I want to understand what the potential of my scav is. So you can get a little bit of an idea before you get into the raid, but I like to take a second at the start and do something like this. So I hovered my mouse over top of my meds, and as long as they're in my rig and my pockets, I can hotkey them by pressing 4 and 5. You get all these options down here. And if you haven't ever done this, I didn't cover this last session. Hop over into settings, go to game, and these options right here. So first menu option, first tab, quick slots, stamina, health condition. I put that on to always show, and this means that I'm never going to get the, when the HUD goes away. I want this stuff to just be here because I find it helpful for me to be able to reference, especially when you're newer. You're going to want to know where you're putting your meds. I put mine in the exact same spots every single time now, and it took me a little while to figure out what that should be. So I hotkey my meds, I scan my inventory. At this point, I would get rid of something that might impede my character. And an example of this would be certain low-level helmets. Like there's one that looks like a biker helmet with a mask on the front. It's not going to protect you from anything, and it reduces your hearing. So I just get rid of that. So that anything there, I would normally get rid of. Back in the day, before they changed the GSSH headset, I would just discard those. They were awful, but now I actually like them, so kind of funny like that. I like to know what kind of ammo I have, and with a shotgun, you get to see the ammo, but otherwise I would do a little mag check. And this lets me know what my killing potential is if I do end up needing to fight. I might adjust a laser if I have one. In this case, I do. I always put it onto the laser, and I usually run around with it on, and I think now I'm pretty good. I do want to know how much time's left in the raid. If it's really early on, I know that there's going to be players roaming in certain areas with a higher concentration. And as the map goes on, people sort of like focus into areas, and then you'll have roamers. So you have the people that are constantly rushing the objectives that they want. Often it's loot. Some people are rushing their actual objectives, their tasks. And then some people are roaming, the map slowly from location to location, and I tend to play my scav runs like that, where I roam and I just go methodically through the map. So I'm always trying to be quite aware. Anyways, 33 minutes means that this area should have been vacated by the PMCs that started here. It doesn't mean that there won't be somebody here, but it just means the original ones should be gone. And I'm doing good, Cat. I'm excited for this week. This week is going to be awesome. So on Tuesdays, I hop in and stream a little bit. Actually, I got into some D&D games with a few buddies a while ago. I guess about 6 months ago. Or like, what do we do with the pandemic? We still wanted to hang out, and 2 of them used to play D&D years ago. So they invited me in to play with them. I'm just kind of seeing how bright this is on the screen over there. Looks good. So yeah, I started playing D&D, which is something I never really did before. It's cool. It's like a really slow version of a video game. So yeah, I look forward to that, but mostly just to be able to connect with my friends. And then this week of school is going awesome. I'm getting ahead on all my readings, and I've been having really good workouts. Started doing home workouts when the pandemic came about. Actually, pandemic happened like March last year, right? I think it was March. Yeah, March last year. Does that make sense? The timeline's all messed up in my head. So yeah, March last year. That's when the pandemic kind of started shutting things down. I was actually injured. I injured myself playing hockey, and 3-4 months later, once I'd healed fully, I was I was able to start doing more and more active stuff. So yeah, I started working out at home. Best decision I ever made. Going to the gym and working out, I can get into it, but it takes a lot of extra time. So many benefits to figuring it out at home. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going through the containers the way that I almost always go through it. I try to start this area over where that car was in the med bag that you would have seen me get these painkillers out of. And since I have them, I should give these a little hotkey. So the only things that I'm missing now in terms of meds are a light bleed. So I can't fix a light bleed. If I get one of those, I'm in trouble. And I can't fix a break. But I can get around a break because I have these painkillers. So we're in good shape right at the start. Meds are probably the most important thing in a raid. And I say that because you could, in theory, go run an entire raid with no weapon, and you could be fine. You know, you can just avoid people, but you will inevitably take damage from something. You can see that I'm like, you know, as I come up to corners, when I'm playing well, I don't generally, like, so here, I'll show you what overcommitting is. Overcommitting is coming to here, right? And that doesn't seem like much, but I have all this extra space. Overcommitting is what people will do like this. This is a terrible overcommit. What you should be doing is approaching angles where you still have part of your cover near your character. You always want to have the opportunity to get out of a line of sight if you need to. Because if I come around here and there's like two dudes right there, well, first thing I should do is just book it. Right? And then I turn this corner, get ready. One of them comes around. As soon as he comes around, I'm going to shoot and then probably relocate again. Because I don't want to have a chance of losing, and I don't think I'm just going to be able to gun down everybody. I know I can't. So yeah, I'm going through the containers. I like this area. I love this spawn. A lot of people hate this area, but this is the easiest money-making spawn that you can get. It's got a little key. I click my middle mouse to examine this one. We got 104. Just trying to think of 104. 104 is in the 2-story dorm in an area that you have to go through a 1-door choke point to get into. It's an okay key. I have bad luck going in there, so I tend to, even if I have the keys, I don't go in. You'll notice that I control click most of the things that I pick up. Now, a problem with control clicking, if you're doing it with a mag or with ammo, is that it's going to put it in your rig, and you might not want that. You might have your rig really well organized. You want stuff to go into your backpack. So a little extra organizing needed there. And I really focused on using control and alt click a lot because it saves me time. It makes me quicker. And the quicker I can get out of a looting situation, the more aware I can be and the more dangerous I can be. So if you think about it, it actually makes you a better combat player by learning to loot faster. Sort of like, you free up your time a bit. Now I had a quick peek and I saw that container's open, and I came over here for that container and the one in the back. But not everyone knows about the key spawn on that seat. I think it's West Wing 306 shoreline key. It's worth about 50k. It's always worth going to have a look, and that's one of the many static key spawns that exists on customs. And if you want to learn where a lot of those key spawns are, I have an awesome Google Doc that you can get access to. You can find that in the map learning guides that I have posted on YouTube. So I have one now for customs, one for factory, and one for interchange. Customs is by far the best. And the guides themselves right now, it teaches you the maps in a very holistic way. So customs, it shows you the primary extracts, it shows you tasks. So this is open. Primary extracts, tasks, and key spawns. So I show you most of the keys on customs. Not all of them, but most. These containers, like duffel bags, jackets. So like a circuit board, I think is like 18k right now. Tape. This is plummeting. It may shift back up, but it's hovering around 10k, sometimes a little bit less. So I'm trying to pay attention to that. But people sleep on duffel bags and dead scavs, which I'm gonna go loot in this other container. So you see, I just kind of like peek out. Now, some people really, really, really want to play the game fast. They want to play super quick. They want to play like, good reference would be like Landmark, and that's totally cool. I play like this because I find that it's approachable for newer players, and I want to be able to make content that's accessible to them. So if I run around like that and they try and emulate me, they're going to die. So they just don't have the knowledge. And generally, the way that it works, if you imagine it like a scale, so the more knowledge you have, the faster you can play. So the more knowledge you are, kind of, you know, the fatter you weigh down that scale. And knowledge exists in a ton of different forms. Map knowledge is one. And if you want to think about, like, how do I judge if I know the map or not? Well, can you walk the map, like, backwards? Do you know where stuff is if you're not looking at it? That's when you know the map. You don't have to know the map that detailed, but, like, that's like, you know, the kind of knowledge of the people that you're playing against. So, you know, don't necessarily think that you suck at a map if you don't know it that way, but that's, like, you know, my marker of how you really know a map. I'm actually going to pop my head in here. There's a med bag. So I like to just go slow whenever I'm playing. Loot as much as I can. And here we're getting, you know, more things for our survivability, which is awesome. I just take my time. You could totally move through way quicker, and you know, that would be great. It would be fine. If you, like I said, if you have a good strong amount of knowledge, you can play quicker and get better use of your time in that way. But I survive a really high percentage of the time because I play smart all the time, most of the time. I definitely goof around a lot on my PMC, and I like to play a lot looser on my PMC. My Scav is just a moneymaker. He's meant to be a survivor. That being said, if I'm playing with my buds and we want to run around on reserve or whatever, then, you know, that's cool too. But I'm here to make money. I'm a dead dude. It's a little loose med spawn on this table right here. I've gotten some Saluas that have saved my butt. So I'm just going to take a little stock of my inventory. I'm going to rearrange some things. To make it easier on myself, I'm going to put the things that matter the most at the bottom of my inventory. The things that are, you know, I know I'm going to keep. And I think this goes like that. I don't know if that was a good idea. I have no idea how much these mags are worth. But anyway, so these things right here, I guess I could keep the stimulant right there. These things all command a value of around 10k or more. Some things are iffy. I think bulbs they're still going over 10k. Lunchbox, maybe not. These M62 bullets are about a K each. And then, yeah, the tape I'm not sure of. So, you know, items go up, items go down. And over time, things change significantly. So early on in the wipe, things are way different. That guy got picked clean. Probably his buddies. And if you hear me say the phrase 10k per square, I had somebody ask me last session, like, what does that mean? And basically, you know, because your inventory is made up in squares, I consider the value of an item divided by the amount of squares that it takes up. And you can think of all these squares too, like, you know, your helmet space, that's 1 square. Your gun slots, those are all 1 square. The gun is different when you put it in your backpack. The gun takes up 5 squares there, but only takes up 1 when you're carrying it. So, you know, the values get a little bit, you know, you have to consider that in the equation. When I talk about 10k per square, it's usually for my backpack, pockets, and rigs. Want to get in there, have a look. If you ever want, like, if you're ever scared and you're really struggling and you want to spot the hide, check this out. I haven't shown this to anybody yet. So, let's say you're someone that doesn't have 30 minutes to run around the map and make money like this, or 40 minutes or whatever, or you're just finding that you're really struggling. This is something that I've done in the past, especially if I'm busy, if I'm like wanting to play a little bit of Tarkov, or, you know, there's something that I'm trying to do. I'll load into the game, I'll find a hiding spot like this, and then I'll just, like, I'll set a timer on my phone and I'll come back later. In the case of scav runs, I find the sweet spot for me is around 13 to 15 minutes. So I'll just I'll just throw my guy down here, go AFK. You know, don't leave your laser on because that's that's a good way for someone to find you. And you just come back and then run through your loot route, whatever it is you're going to do. But I'm basically about to start the beginning of a loot cache run, and I'll show you what that is right now. At the end of this run, I'm actually going to go and look at a map, and I'm going to map out the way that I took. So I should be able to remember everything, and I want to include those in some of the future guides that I'm doing. Is this 7 Days to Die? No, dude. I hear that game's cool, though. A buddy of mine started playing it, and I was thinking about getting into it, but then I just got into school all crazy. Saw your stream at a 7 Days to Die topic. Maybe that's a wrong topic. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how that happened. I am new to YouTube streaming, so apologize if I bamboozled you. Definitely not 7 Days to Die. This is Escape from Tarkov. I wonder how you got recommended. I don't think I'm listed in a wrong category somewhere, but yeah, maybe I'll have to look into it. This is a wrong. Oh no. This is a wrong this is wrong topic. I saw your description. There's 7 days to die. 7 days to die. Let me see if I can look. Public category gaming. Thumbnail description. Ooh, how do I see what you see? I'm like looking at it. I don't know. I'm gonna have to check into it. So I'm looking at my stream info, and I don't know how to see more than that. But if you like 7 Days to Die, you might like Tarkov. Just saying. Okay, so getting information as I go is always important, and I know that somebody now has grabbed these 2 loot caches, and these are like kind of my main objectives for loot is learning where these are. So these hidden barrel caches, and then there's hidden ground caches. Content is just what I have been looking for. I am so glad, dude. Tarkov is an ultra fun game, but if you struggle at it in the beginning, it's pretty slow going. My goal, my hope with doing any kind of content sharing is that I can shorten that learning curve for people. So thanks for saying so. It is super motivating. I mentioned in my last stream that when I first started posting videos for Tarkov, I was like, oh man, these are gonna be so good. People are gonna love them. But like, you know, I'm a little channel. Not many people know about me. And I didn't get many views. I tried posting it on Reddit, and Reddit's pretty vicious with content creators. Sort of rightfully so. There's like a lot of bad there, and a lot of people that don't bring value. They're just like, hey, come like, you know, come follow my stuff. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And they kind of set the tone in a negative light for creators. Anyway, so yeah, Reddit didn't care too much about my content. I was like, oh, maybe it's not that good. But like, I put 40 hours in my customs video. It's probably more. 40 hours of work in that video. So sometimes, if it's later in the raid, I'll go off to the right. There's a little bit of loot in there, and there's another loot cache kind of in the direction that I'm facing. But since I heard gunfire over there, I don't need to go over there. I'm just gonna head this way. I'm gonna look into that, Kamar. I'll check into it, dude. I appreciate you letting me know. Just a newbie YouTube streamer over here. I'm sorry, I'm from Twitch. I'm new. Yeah, definitely slower than a lot of the creators. And that's, you know, like I said before, I'm trying to be approachable. And when you go so fast, it's like when people constantly turn their view around, when they're like, huh, 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 and then like a 360, and then you know, you're like, where am I? Like, you know, there's no context because Tarkov doesn't have a mini map. that was one of the reasons when I was like, I'm putting a mini map in my videos, which again, like that takes a little while to do, but I think is so worth it. And yeah, to not be able to follow somebody makes learning from them hard. You can still learn from people, like learning, like Landmark, even if you can't play at his pace, there's definitely stuff that you can pick up from him as a total beginner. But many of the things he's just going to completely overlook. He's like, you know, he's so far beyond a person's skill level that you won't be able to approach some of the stuff. So see, this person's been tossing the stuff on the ground. I'm gonna take it. Oh yeah, here's a neat one. So if you loot a container, that if you come up to a container, it says search, but you're sure someone has been here, what that means is someone searched it before you got into the raid. So someone searched that container before you got in, because basically once you load in, Tarkov loads all the containers, and basically all the containers start closed whenever you load in. But if someone's opened them while you're in the raid, then they'll save that state. But if that doesn't get like keep getting like recorded or broadcast. I don't know what the actual like coding term is. But yeah, if you ever notice that like things are kind of weird, like why is something closed? I mean, someone could have closed it. That's totally possible. But usually it's because you, like on a scav run, you loaded in and it was after someone had already gotten to them. So like this one here was opened after I got in. Yeah, I'm not really so much on Twitch right now. I'm actually I transferred my Twitch time over into YouTube, but just Tuesdays and Sundays, like Caleb said. Thanks, Caleb. Tuesdays and Sundays, 6 o'clock Pacific, and by all means, feel free to stop in, ask questions. If there's something that I can help you with, I would be more than happy to. It's the whole reason why I'm going to be streaming. I'm not going to be streaming just to like hang out. Like that's a really common form of live content, is like that hangout content, whether somebody's hanging out playing, you know, super skilled like, or they're you know, an entertainer, whatever. Like mine's going to be pretty laser focused at educational content. Now that being said, there's the odd time when I'll hop in and I'll just play something super cash. But yeah, my whole like want for my time here is to be producing something of value. How do I do my mini maps? A lot of time. If you want to like understand the process, basically what I do is I have a mini map that I have edited in After Effects. So I you know, I cut it into the square that I want, and I put a dot right in the middle. And then every so this is kind of funny. So like if I go from here to here, I mark right here while I'm standing still, and then I move the video to the next spot, and then I move the map individually, like point by point. So that's why it's not 100% accurate. It's like 90-ish% accurate, because I literally hand move the map every time my character moves. And there's some points where I'm like, I don't need to move it like with that much detail, because as long as you're getting enough context to understand where you are. Yeah, I don't even know where I'm extracting. Passage between rocks. Awesome. Yeah, as long as you understand the relationship of the character to the environment, I think I've done a good job with the mini-map. But if... yeah, if like, I was doing some maps, and I think I might have even done... Like, some of my other videos were actually... Like, I changed the map character depending on which way I was facing. That basically, like, it doubled the work. It takes about... Right now, I think I can probably speed it up, but it takes about an hour of time for every 10 minutes of video that I do it. Wow, someone hit all the caches. So this is awesome to mention too. Sometimes you're going to run into a situation like this where most of the areas that you're going to loot are already looted. Now, people will leave stuff behind, so that's going to be a benefit for you, but you are going to need to expand... Yeah, like, see all this? You are going to need to expand the amount of loot locations that you know. So let's start with these ones that I'm showing you right now, because they're probably the best, most potent. Someone left those there? That's crazy. Thanks, Kat. Yeah, the mini maps I actually I watch my own videos back so that I could learn off of them. One of the things that I recommend some of the people do with it too is if you're like using the maps to actively learn. What do we got in here? I would recommend you, like, if you're trying to refresh and you're just trying to like gain perspective of the map and relate it to the mini map, go back and watch it, like mute it and then put it on like 2 times the speed. And you know, just kind of like half watch it. You'd get some like good refresher knowledge out of something like that. You don't need my voiceover and all that stuff. It's all like, it can be helpful, sure, but this is a pretty tough run. So, you know, like I've just got like a ragtag band of garbage here. By the way, oh yeah, these things, most of the time, these barrels, anything that's like a 3 square item is usually junk. Like most of them aren't worth the squares they take up. See how we're doing. I've got about 300k. I think we can still do better. I've got some last minute stuff. So my extract is that way. Is just over there. Passage between rocks here. I'll show you a little thing if you, because this is kind of a tricky one in the very beginning before you've like learned the map. So when you come up here and you're like, oh, there's like passage, like I don't understand. So see this really big tall tree? This is not the right one. So you're like, okay, tall tree? No? Short trees. Yeah. Short trees. And you could remember like a little stump. But yeah, tall tree, no. No tall trees at the passage. And then this one's got the, like, so right beside the stubby, we got this bush for one of the loot caches here. Need you to make one on woods. Oh yeah. Yeah, dude, that's gonna be so challenging. My process for doing these videos, and actually I put off doing woods because I knew they were expanding it. My process for doing this is I generally will go and spend, like, I just do offline raid after offline raid after offline raid. And I go through and I get myself so familiar. And then I come up with a path. Oh, hey, look, another dead dude. I think that's going to be the saving grace of our run. Is finding other dead people. I see more dead people. Look at all these guys. What you got? So these are kind of worth. I might end up taking that, but I think that one of these other dudes has got some stuff for me. Oh, hey, look. Homie's got the loot. Scissors are good. But yeah, woods definitely. I think I owe it to myself to do reserve, but woods is 100% needed. Agreed. I think these guys were collecting. Someone didn't loot their pockets and things. Oh yeah, 40k? Hello. Let's see, let's get rid of the junk. Oh, M995? What are you guys doing? This is where you're going to need to have that knowledge of, like, what's worth what. And I guess we can put on the broken armor. We can take that. Oh, he's got some food. I need it. What else do I not need? Watch me get popped. Yeah, I'm probably not going to need that. I need to eat. Yeah, woods is tricky. A mini map done on woods would be super valuable. I totally agree. Oh, look at this. We got some armor. An armored rig. Not only are we increasing our space, but we're getting some money while we do it. Oh yeah, get rid of you too. Bye-bye. Hallelujah. Oh, he's got a good mask. You're like, what do you mean he's got a good mask? He's got a good mask. These masks can be traded. Oh yeah, brown knives are worth more than silver knives if you're selling them to Jaeger. What else we got? We got some more headphones. Some tier 4 armor. Got a helmet. Glasses. Oh yeah, this is great. So carrying out headphones is a not a good idea. The only time you should carry out headphones Oh yeah, maybe. I made a mistake back here. And what I say by carrying out headphones, like using your backpack to carry them out. And the reason is that the backpack is going to take up, you know, 4 spots for a pair of headphones. No headphone is worth more than 10k per square, to my knowledge. Unless you get those, like, really swanky good ones that I never see anywhere. And they're not, it's like, they're not better than any other headphone. I think they're able to be worn with different stuff. All right, we got another gun. Oh yeah, a little SKS trick. If you don't like how close this is to the player, don't stand out in the open. Don't do what I'm doing. You can take off the rear sight. So I unequipped my gun so that it wouldn't go through an animation of doing it. Now the gun's like a little further out, right? Before it was like right up against the screen. I totally think so too, Caleb. The best map to raise money is probably customs, but where people struggle is like if you don't if you don't know the flow of the map, customs can be really hard. I'm gonna take the spread off, get rid of that. I want you. Oh, it's on the person. We got aviators too. You guys, bless. What else is going on in here? I'm just an innocent scav, leave me alone. So I'm considering whether I want to try and fit this into my container. So this has 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and it's going to take up 3 by 4. So I lose 2 spaces by taking this armor, but there would be some value potentially in there. Let's grab you. Can we take a wrench? Do we want a wrench? We don't. Oh, yeah, we don't need the slugs. We're fine. 4 minutes left. And everybody just got crushed over here. This is great. I would say customs. Because you can come in and do these kinds of runs right here. Like I'm gonna make a boatload of money. It's all easy. Like I didn't have to kill nobody. Oh yeah, why am I still carrying this? I didn't have to kill anybody. Everything is just going super smooth. But yeah, learning customs in a way that allows you to run it like I do might take you a bit of time. But you can use some of these little tips that I was mentioning before, like play the raid a little bit later. You know, put yourself in areas that are a little bit less trafficked, at least to start with, right? Like, so, you know, avoid dorms, I would say, on customs. But if you get up into this North Forest, you're usually pretty good. All right, we just made a good run of it. Everyone took all our loot, so we found the dead guys that had the loot, and then we got it. So a lot of people will say Reserve is the best money making map, and then others will say Shoreline is the easiest one to run loot caches on. I personally believe that the best one for you to learn is like for money, because every wipe I make at least 200 million on customs. And a lot of it doing loot caches. Even if I'm not primarily going after loot caches, I still dip into the areas and get them. So a couple other reasons why I think customs is a really good map. So there's a couple reasons why customs can struggle. I'll just throw this one in at the start. There's a few choke areas that people really struggle with, especially early on in a PMC raid. Totally understand. Outside of that, customs doesn't have a ton of long sniper lanes. Doesn't have many at all. The areas that are dangerous are obvious. Like the big danger areas, you have to like go to them. You can't just wander into them. So I like the way that customs runs as a map as a whole, but it takes some time to get into that groove. You can Tetris in a cache, and yeah. Well, you like, so like right here, I didn't even check to see what it would end up being, but this is easily, I mean, 450 to 500k now, after all that extra finding at the end. Oh yeah, and if you don't do this yet, where you keep your inventory kind of clear at the top, this is so nice for my sanity. I can mostly just like control click all the loot out at the end of my run, and then I use the top part of my stash. I know a lot of people have different ways of doing this, but I find that this is the fastest for me, and it also allows me, like, you know, just a little bit of peace at the top of the stash, and then everything can be messy at the bottom. Yeah, the bridge can be pretty brutal. So the lower bridges early on, I find, are the most dangerous because they introduce the opportunity to catch people running across them, right? And the lowest ones specifically, because there's a lot of like cover to hide behind in. There are some long sniper angles because people will try and snipe on the map. It's not super common, but they will. My stash is getting a little out of hand here. Gotta figure out what I'm doing. Wow. Okay, I'm just gonna have to piece out some stuff here. You guys are gonna watch some selling Tetris. Feel free to ask any other questions, and if I missed something, I'll scan back, but feel free to ask it again. I certainly don't mind. How do I know which loot to keep and which to sell? Let me show you a really useful graphic. Is it in here? And I'm just gonna I'm gonna look at this with you at the same time and try and see if this is like true to right now. So this graphic I made, and it was for late 12.8, and I'm just gonna I'm kind of scanning through the items. So telling you what's good and what to keep is harder than telling you what sucks. And that's why I made this list. So this list is meant to be a list. So car batteries, you're going to see that in there. You're like, oh, but Jet, you need those for tasks. Yes. And they are fairly valuable right now, but later on they won't be. So, you know, little caveat in here, this is from 12.8, but like, let's have a look. It takes time to learn the loot. It's definitely takes some time. Okay, so this is getting close. So this is a 6 square item, and it's getting down to around 80k. This will keep going down and down and down and down. So it's still like worth more than 10k a square. These items that are on this list are meant to be less than 10k a square, so that whenever you're like, your whole list is packed and you're like, what do I keep? These are the things that generally don't fit the bill. So to give you some examples, like fleece and ripstop are usually like, you know, around 15k ish. Sometimes they can go higher, depends on like the demand, obviously, like anything. But most of the time everything here is lower. You know, and this ignores questing items. So if you're still looking for questing items, you don't pay attention to this list. This list is specifically for profit. And yeah, if anyone wants this, you could come and just steal it right out of the Discord, and I can try and get a link in there. But you can also find a link in any of those guide videos. So like bleach, no good. Toilet paper, no good. And again, like these items do have value, but what I do is I take a higher value item, and then if I want toilet paper outside of the raid, then I just go and buy it on the flea market whenever it's cheap. So my way of buying items when they're cheap is I will put them on my wish list, and then I just, you know, I have an extraordinarily long wish list right now. So like soap here, soap's actually kind of going up because of the change in the economy with, there's a few different things now that you use soap to create other items with. And so soap's kind of getting a little bit higher here. So, you know, you could make an argument to have it off of this list. Or do I even have it on the list? I don't have it on the list. I took it off. So yeah, the only questionable items right now are the car battery, I think. I think everything else is good. Yeah, a lot of this stuff just goes down. So I would say these items first, like try and learn like you don't need them. And then after that, it's, you know, take things out, sell them, try and notice when stuff really sucks. And like there's other weird things you might not even think about too. So here, this is a funny one. So I just got a stock SKS. By the way, anything that's found in raid should be a priority too, right? Because you can sell on the flea market. So then I'm going to take off this little guy. I'm going to take off this little guy. And I'm going to go to the market here. So this is usually worth a fair bit more, but you know, we can get 6k for this one. So if you're really trying to penny pinch, these used to like regularly sell for well above 20k. But I'm just going to sell it at the low end because I want it to move. And I don't care about the ammo in here. We're gonna sell this for another 73. And I'm totally lowballing everything because I just want my inventory to flip. I don't want anything to chill in my offers. And if you haven't learned how you get more offer slots, it's based on your rep. So up here, my rep is 7.75. As soon as I get to 10.0, I get an extra spot for selling. So I'm gonna have to wait, but this means that I can actually get rid of some of this stuff. So what I usually do when I'm trying to like pare through my inventory is I want to get my backpack empty so that I can kind of use my backpack to manage the space. So I'm waiting now for some sales, but I can put this backpack on my character, and I'm gonna just get rid of everything that I can. This is why I have the top of my inventory clear, so I can just control click everything. What am I gonna do? Yay, something sold. Headphones are really a preference. If you're trying to figure out what headphones you like, Veritas made a great video a while ago. Now the sounds are a bit different, so his video is outdated, but a lot of the decisions that you could make for like thinking about what headset is the one that you like can be made with that video. So I think it still gets a lot of the tonality right, but I just use these now. They're cheap, they're easy. At some point, I imagine they're gonna probably nerf these things because everybody's using them. And I say everybody, it's like a terrible generalization. Not everybody, but a lot of people are using them now as their preferred ones. So I got my backpacks good now. And with so much stuff, let's get rid of you. I think I can actually sell this guy. So you can craft these now. You can craft black rocks. The hideout is so good. If you're like, I don't know what to do, like a hideout, whatever, just go through the motions and get everything. My favorite budget gun, probably the MP5. So that's budget for me. Because, and this is super dependent, right? So like budget is such a tricky term because budget is like based on traders and accessibility to quality ammo. But if you want like my favorite budget gun that I recommend to people, it's the RPK with BT ammo, hands down. And it just gets cheaper and cheaper as you level up. But yeah, the MP5 running AP6 is so cheap. And like, you know, I consider cheap a relative term, right? But like my old favorite budget gun was a Hunter with M80s. You know, that was like the go-to. That was every noob ever running budget kit. Yeah, crafting black rocks to make money is good, man. It's good. So one of the things that I noticed just recently, and so like this is such a cheap way to get an RPK. These blue powders. So this is proper level 3, so you gotta be leveled up a bit. I think it's level 20, 22 or something like that. I can't remember when you get level 3 with proper. But yeah, blue powders and weapon parts. These are things you can also craft in your hideout. I just get this gun, I sell the mag instantly. It's just like 19k. And the RPK is great because, where are you? Starting out, it has 71 recoil. You throw a grip on it, and it instantly goes down to, I don't know. Here, I have one in my inventory. I'll show you guys my little like RPK budget kit. Let's grab you. Gonna have to make a little bit of space. What can I just get rid of here? Just put some stuff on my character. So RPK budget style. So this is definitely my favorite budget grip, and they're so like I don't know why they haven't nerfed these. So I think it's Peacekeeper. Is it level 2? No, it's level 3. Oof. So this is level 3 dependent here for Peacekeeper, but this is by far the best cheap grip that I found. The RVG Magpul, and the tan one is cheaper than the black one. So if you're going for style points, you can pay extra. I don't care about that. I'm not looking at my gun. My enemy's gonna look at my gun whenever they kill me. I want it to look as ugly as possible. Me looking at my gun beforehand don't matter. But I totally respect people that like that. But if you want like a good budget grip, skier level 2, you can just get this RK4. Perfect budget grip. But here, so I'll show you something awesome with the RBK. So go ahead and put that back on. RPK automatically comes with a, where are we? Okay, so I wanted to rip that off. This little guy right here, because, and I'm always looking for these awesome budget parts on the flea market. So some things stand out a little bit. Like if you're building AKs, these handguards. So these handguards are dependent on you being able to buy the rails for them, which I think is skier level 2. Don't quote me exactly. But so like, look at this handguard, right? 18k. But these ones are so cheap. 8k. This handguard is 2 recoil, 10 ergo. The drawback is you got to be able to put a rail on the bottom and a rail on the side in order to get your devices on. But yeah, like 8k, are you kidding? And it's so cheap because they're commonly found on raiders, on Rashala's goons, you know, on Rashala's gun. Like all of those guys have these grips, or sorry, these handguards. This handguard is like the best budget handguard you can get, but again, like you need to, so like I'll show you. We'll do a little link search. You need to be able to get these M-lock ones. So I think it's mechanic level 2 that unlocks that. So once you got mechanic level 2, that's a super cheap way to get a little boost onto your, you know, your AKs, your 74N, your 74M. I like those too, but the RPK is just so good. And again, I'm going to show you why. So flea market, I'm just going to go into my wish list because I have all these things bookmarked. And where are we? These MOE stocks. These are great. So they're not that expensive, right? Like 9k. And it might take a bit before you're like, I'm willing to spend this much money on this stuff. But like if you get these scav runs that I'm doing down, you'll just always have like, you know, you'll always be 10 plus mil and you'll live a very cushy Tarkov life. But these here, you know, I'd buy for 9k. And so 8 ergo, 30 recoil, and then you get an attachment for them. Where are you? No. I'm not going to be able to find it easy. Let's just build it. So this part right here. This guy. So you need Peacekeeper. I don't know what level you get him on. Once you get this little part here, this adds, it's just like the butt pad for the AKs, right? Adds a nice little bit, a nice little boost. This is, you know, whatever, $46 plus the 9k that you pay there. So this builds, it's down to 62 recoil. Like that's sweet. And it's like, you know, you're getting up to like 80k for your gun with your sight and everything. And again, like I totally understand people are like, oh, that's too much, but it's really not. And you're going to get these back in insurance on occasion too. And it's like it's a really solid gun. If you're like wanting to cheap out on most of your kit, like just get a good weapon, make sure you have the right meds, use cheap armor, use cheap like whatever. Like don't ever take anything less than a scav backpack because you should be able to collect these like a maniac. And yeah, you can just like you can make your character very dangerous or very cheap, and most of the time your stuff's just gonna get left behind because people are like, oh, this sad guy here is using all of this bad stuff. Let's not take his things. Anyways, so yeah, RPK, really solid budget gun. I would say is probably one of the best. And if you don't have access to make it through, oh wow. So like, look at this, they're 40k right now. That's crazy. 40k for a gun with 71 recoil off the start. Like, I don't even know why you would buy a regular AK now. I never used the RPK before, but I kind of discovered it when I was researching for more budget kits this wipe. So yeah, that's basically it, my friends. I'm gonna not bore you with me Tetrising out and selling my inventory. Once again, if you ever want to connect, if you ever want to get any like questions answered, I am more than happy for you to reach out to me on Twitter, Discord, Reddit, wherever else. All that stuff's awesome. If you want to set up a Sherpa run, that's something I'm going to be looking into doing in the not too far future. I'm just trying to get a real strong handle on school and be able to start getting time back into actually working on YouTube content, like other videos. So once I'm able to start getting that under my belt, I will absolutely be doing Sherpa runs. And so if you're just wanting someone to play with as a means of, taking you through whatever kind of map, whatever kind of task. I'm totally down for that. I find that my playstyle is fairly approachable, and I can play at the higher fast level. I can also tone everything down. And the way that I like to do that too is where I'll take somebody through and I'll show them my way. I'll talk them through, I'll lead, and then I usually reverse it. So then I'll have you lead and have you show me kind of what we do, and then, I can give you feedback after. There is one thing that I said that I was going to do at the end of my session that I haven't done yet. So I'm just going to quickly... These are the maps that I really like to use. It's through Map Genie. Let's see if we can get a little bit closer here. Yeah. I said that I would show y'all where I went. So we got a map. Map Genie's really loud whenever you look at it. Just come over here, hit hide all. I'm going to turn on... well, it shows the extracts. I'm going to turn on caches. I think this is all I want. And then I am going to... I think I'm just going to use this one. Okay, so yellow seems to be good, and I think so. This is going to be like a little bit messy. It's all going to be hand drawn. Okay, don't get too judgy. So this is where we started. That's where we spawned. We immediately came over here, and I hid in a bus just to talk, take time. That's where I got set up on my run. I made sure I knew what I was doing for my loot, hotkeyed my meds, all that. I crossed the street up here, keeping an eye on the right, and I got into the containers through here. And you'll notice that if you were to watch back through my gameplay, a lot of the time I'm staying close to walls, and that's something that I recommend you do as well when you play. Cut in here, so we looted that little spot, and I know yellow's not showing up the best. Maybe we can switch it to something like that. Awesome. Sound effects are good. Okay, so that's, whatever. We walked up this little angle right here. We came by. I'm just going to try and go through this pretty quickly to give a rough idea of where I went. I'm going to end up using stuff like this whenever I go back and look through my footage to see if I can use it and create some other content from it. So we went into that container, we went into that container, out through here, cut up along that wall, and you may remember that we poked our head inside this area. Came up through there. We used this little cut, and if you don't know about that little spot, that's a handy one to get out. And then we went up, we checked out this little building, came back down to the bottom, looted that cache. We found out that they were already looted, so we couldn't do anything there. And I backtrack. I will go up into this area, so there's this loot cache right here where I'll often get, but because I heard gunfire and everything going on in this area, I decided to avoid it. So we came up. I'm pretty sure I went in right there. We crossed the street, and I always... So I tend to not, like, you could take this area right here and then head up that way, but I find this area is very consistent for me. So like most of this stuff is like very premeditated in terms of where I'm choosing to go. So then we come down here, I follow along. So for traveling this area, I think it's a mistake to walk along the wall. You present a very high level of contrast. When people are looking and scanning the area, they're going to see you a little bit easier. And if you're moving smartly through the bushes and trees and the foliage in this area, you're gonna have a lot more success. So we came up, we had a little look, crossed the road, we ran around the tube, checked in the container, ran up front, we checked this cache, we checked this cache. I decided to go this way, so I will loot these caches too. If I'm hurting for loot, I'll definitely jump into them, but I think that I just decided to go this way. It's probably because I was talking as much as I was. And then we came up here, we went down. I think I went over further there, but oh yeah, we checked the train car too, didn't we? So there's a little like train car loot spot right there. I think went there, and then I think I went to that cache first. We ran over here, checked a loot spot, checked a loot spot, another loot spot, another loot spot, came around, checked the cache, and this is where when we came down, we found the dead dudes. That was good. Came all the way up here, grabbed this, and then that's where my kind of run ended, basically. We went, I think I just ran pretty aggressively all the way up. And then we went to our extracts. So I should have used a different color for this last part. There we go. That was basically the run that I did. And you can see that, you know, I get a pretty far distance across the map. I actually really like spawning on this crossroads side because it gives me time to loot the containers, and I find the containers really easy to loot, and you can come out of there with a ton of good loot. Don't think that any real area of a map is bad. Most of the time, like, BSG has done a good job of like inserting bits of loot here and there. I mean, some areas just are terrible, but the containers is not one of them. If you're looking for action, it's not the best, unless at the very beginning. Sometimes you get a fun little containers war fight, but yeah, this is basically how it went. And then yeah, the main focus are these hidden loot caches. So I recommend learning those. They're a big contributor to the average income that I make per raid, and it definitely gives me an opportunity to move through the map in a way that's going to like just let the game develop, because, you know, if you rush into anywhere at the very beginning, it's going to be a challenge in order to fight all of the players that are contesting that higher value loot, which isn't always even there. Like, you could run in through the marked room on dorms and find nothing and end up in a big fight and die. So you know, the consistency up there isn't that high. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't go there, because dorms is really fun and I super enjoy fighting in it. The marked room can be pretty profitable too. You can find some really neat stuff. Anyways, I don't have links. What editor do I use for my videos? I use After Effects and Premiere Pro most of the time. And I will post some stuff. Yo, what's up, Jeremiah? I will get you a link right here. Just give me a sec. I need to sign into chat. Sorry, this YouTube chatting thing is new to me. I'm used to just being able to chat in my browser, but that don't work. I think I can actually just post you a link to that picture. I am trying to get that for you. So Discord is a communications program that a lot of people use to share messages, pictures, videos. They use it for voice chat, and it's all organized into different categories. It's like a well-developed version of like Facebook Messenger, basically. Yeah, and yeah, it was originally marketed to gamers, but now they've definitely changed that. Let's see here. Copy link. Paste. Done. Nice. And yeah, if you're like looking to get into video editing, I don't necessarily recommend the Adobe products because they can be a bit expensive. There's a lot of good free alternatives out there, or even like reasonably like low cost. Sony Vegas Pro is one that you can often get for quite cheap. I found my very first video editing program through a website called Humble Bundle, and basically like they take software offerings, they go out and collect a bunch of different offerings, and you make a donation, and if you reach above a certain donation threshold, mine was like $15 or $20, and I got access. Like they basically gave me a software key, and I was able to get Final Cut. No, not Final Cut. Sorry, Sony Vegas Pro. Yeah, I think it was Vegas Pro. Use Shotcut. Yeah. Honestly, any program is a good program if you're making content. I know that a lot of people get stuck on like using the best stuff all the time, but like just to be in action is the best thing. Yeah, thanks, Jeremiah. I'm glad you find it useful. I definitely think that it could be updated for the current meta, like the current situation with the new patch, but most of the information there looks pretty good, and I think it would be helpful in figuring out like what not to take. So yeah, I hope you guys all have an awesome night. Thanks for the chat. I've been enjoying streaming on YouTube so far, so I'm going to keep that up. So you can expect to see me here on Tuesdays and Sundays, usually from about 6 to 7 o'clock Pacific. Sometimes I'll stream a little bit later, sometimes a little bit shorter. And you know, if you've been around and hear me talk about it, I've been like up to here with new schoolwork, and it's super awesome, super exciting. But I have a ton of extra stuff going on in my life, so this is, you know, secondary interest. But I'm happy to be here, and it's cool that people are stopping in to generate some conversation. And I find the conversations quite valuable too, because we're living in a weird time where we don't get to see a lot of people these days. Anyways, y'all have an awesome night. I appreciate it. We'll catch you again on, I guess, Tuesday, right? Oh no, Sunday. It is Tuesday. Oh man. Alrighty, friends. We'll see y'all later. Thanks a lot, Caleb. Gat Cat, nice chatting with you, man. Sushi, or no, Gushi. J Gushi? That's probably better. Sushi. I could really go for some sushi. Yeah, nice chatting with you too, Caleb. And yeah, if you guys ever want to talk about content or anything like that, if you're working on your own stuff, I'm more than happy to chat about that stuff too. Love it.